So, clean conversation with Caitlin, me.
And Charle-Louis, me.
So, shall we? I wanted to capture some of these conversations that we've been having while we were walking through the forests in Belgium. And one of them is it's a little issue that I've been playing with over the last 2.5 years, which is in both of our approaches, we're looking for inclusivity. So we're looking for, if your system's not like my system, rather than me working hard to do something that your system doesn't even want, how do I ask a few questions, find out your invisible architecture, share mine, and we
find something.
And I've got a bunch of tools in systemic modeling, which is to train groups to do this for themselves. And you have a bunch of tools and exercises in your work that helps group to become self-reflective, self-facilitating groups. And what happens when it goes wrong? So I've had a few situations that have really brought me up against the limits of my own approach. So one is where I've got a team of 4 people. I've been brought in by A to facilitate the group of them because B says that C is bullying them.
Okay.
So I interview them all individually, and A says, I haven't seen any bullying, but obviously I believe B. And C says, I know B says that I'm bullying them and I'm willing to look at my behavior, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I keep being told I'm doing something wrong. And D says, I've never seen any bullying, but I'm sure that B isn't telling the truth.
Okay.
So it isn't telling lies.
Okay. So A and D were both kind of saying we've never seen it, but we believe B.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we want to sort it out.
Yeah.
And so when I'm interviewing B and she's saying, when I'm introducing C and she's saying, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I can be a little bit straightforward. I can be a little bit something, but I don't quite know what it is. And when I interviewed them all individually, and you would assume that there must be something that this woman C is doing wrong, that's making B so unhappy. But when I go and watch them work, it's really interesting because I'll say, okay, so I'm sharing some skills and I'm asking them what's happened. And A shares what's happened for A, and B shares what's happening for B, and then C asks B a question.
Okay.
And when C asks B a question, B reacts and says, they're doing it now. You see, you all saw that. You saw them doing it now. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting because I didn't see anything. What they did was to ask them a question. And so I say to B, so what is it that she did that's the bullying? And what did you see or hear that lets you know that this is bullying? Oh, well, because they attacked me. They said that my ideas were no good and that what I was sharing wasn't valuable. As again, what did you do? What did you see or hear that let you know how much? So I'm not challenging him. I'm asking, what is it that C's doing that means that they're being so awful to you? And they say, well, they attacked me. I'm like, okay, this person isn't separating evidence from inference.
Okay, evidence and inference.
So evidence, a description of the behavior, and inference, a description of the impact or what you call that behavior.
So like you asking me a question and I say that's bullying. Or
like right now. So the evidence is your hand, for the camera, your hand is here.
Yeah.
So the evidence is Charle-Louis' hand is loosely the fingers are bent and the thumbs up the top.
Yeah.
Inference could be Charle-Louis threatening me with his fist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so hang on. So then you say, what is it I'm doing that means that you're threatening me, Caitlin? That I'm threatening you?
Yeah.
And I say, you're trying to punch me.
Okay. Yeah.
And you say, oh, but for me, I was just making a gesture. And I say, no, see, this is how he's gaslighting me. He's gaslighting me.
Okay. Okay, so like this is, yeah, obviously, like everyone can see it now, but like, yeah, this is, okay, I think I get it. So it's
So
like...
you did have your fist like that,
Yeah,
but only a certain person would think that you were going to hit them, and other people would think
nothing's happening. Yeah.
nothing's happening.
He's just doing, yeah, okay.
And so although I was then able to say, so I was checked out with B, what he thought this person's question meant, B couldn't tell the difference between evidence and inference. He couldn't separate them.
Okay.
And so then I might say, so A, what's happening from your perspective? And A says, she just asked a question. And D says, what's happening from your perspective? She just asked you a question.
Okay.
And they're like, now you're all gaslighting me.
Oh.
And I don't want to be part of this team anymore.
Oh, so that's what B says.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
wow.
so, there's a family just arriving.
Yeah.
And so what's interesting for me was, I don't know what to do next. Because the bind I've got myself in is, if I say to B, what's happening is you're wrong and they're right, because I was there too, and
yeah,
then I'm making them wrong.
Yeah, and you're taking a stand.
And I'm now in judgment.
Yeah.
And it's not the inclusivity, which I know is really important to the two of us. So
yeah,
you see, and so the best I was able to do was to say, okay, shall I tell you what I'm noticing? When she asked you a question, for you that was an attack. And it wasn't so for A, and it wasn't so for D, and it wasn't so for C.
Yeah.
And I'm going to suggest that every meeting that you're in with these three, C is going to ask you questions like this. So now what would you like to have happen? They said, I don't feel safe in the team anymore.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay, so what would allow you to feel safe? They said, if we had a rigid agenda, we voted on the ideas in the agenda.
Yeah.
And then when we voted on them, that's the end of the meeting. We only come together to follow what's in the agenda and to vote.
Okay, so then strictly work, strictly
no
like
interactions.
no interactions. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that worked.
Yeah, makes it efficient. Like, I had a conversation with a friend last weekend, Marcus Fissikal, and he was like I've worked with a team at some point who was like, the interactions, the people couldn't stand each other, but that made them actually very effective in what they...
Very efficient.
Very effective. Yeah, because... very efficient. Because any meeting, they would just do what needed to be done.
Yeah.
And then made sure that everyone knew enough so that nobody would be bothering the others outside of meetings. So and he was like, in a way, we are trying to kind of make sure that, people do the work, but it can also like have nice interactions. But like ultimately, they were doing it something and like it worked for them. And I think the topic that you're asking, like, it's an interesting one, but ultimately, like, my vision on this is like, I'm not there to solve things that people don't want to see solved.
Yeah.
And it's about also, the whole thing about the way that I facilitate is like making sure that people understand that it's their ownership. And whether they pick up something or don't pick up something, it's their decision. And they need to live with the consequences of their decisions. And if it's, let's have 5-minute meetings to ensure we just go over the agenda points, so be it. As long as work is being done behind.
Yeah. Yeah, and so with this one, what I had to do is to say, 3 of you want to have really, really good relationships. And one of you, the way that you want to relate, it's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
And it's safer for everybody if you just have the short ones. So what's interesting about that for me is it's to do with this, like, if I think of my work as trying to create safety, belonging and freedom, for some people, it's how the belonging works is very different. So if you want enough safety to have the freedom to get on with your work.
Yeah, and because in the example you told, if for C, as like asking a question or saying that an idea is worthless is attacking them, well, then that means that their belonging needs to be with people who think and act the same way as they do.
Yeah.
And like, this is my community because they think like me, and they will not say that the ideas that I bring forward are wrong.
Yes, that is what I require.
Yeah. And I think this is maybe one of the tricky thing in this whole belonging and inclusivity and so on, is like, ultimately I guess it's not about imposing my worldview, like, hey, you should work well together this way or that way. It's ultimately you need to figure it out for yourselves. And if there's stuff that you want to like handle or tackle, you'll do it. If there's stuff you say we leave it be, then okay, so be it. But then it's your decision. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for that little conversation.
Yeah.